Okay, back at it tonight with the D10s. The one I showed off last night's laying on its side here just so I can illustrate some things. The freight engine is on the track, and the headlights higher on this one. It's not in the middle. And one thing I forgot to show off last night was these class lights, so they go white, off, green, off. And I'll just get this little guy running here at speed level 1. Now, this one, I'm really glad it's running smooth again because I've spent the last 4 hours taking off the drivers with the tires and putting the bare ones on. I really wish Rapido would ask you which ones you want and have them installed at the factory, because it is a monumental task to change them, and I wouldn't recommend it for anybody that hasn't had a couple of hundred steam engines apart. I managed to get the running gear out of sync, and it was a nightmare to get it back into position, but after much trial I managed to do it, so I'm happy this thing's running. The Mo Power that they call it, the Keep Alive that's in these, I think is actually an essential piece of it. There's some mechanical loss at low speed on these that causes stalls, and I think without the Mo Power they wouldn't get this kind of performance, so it's pretty critical. And I would say for anybody that's got old brass steam engines that aren't kind of just running perfect, you might want to put a Keep Alive in it. So I managed to bust some stuff doing the drivers. The first thing you get, if you look at the bottom of this guy, you have to take a whole bunch of this brake gear off, and it's glued on, I think, or super tight press fit. And I managed to bust mine into several pieces. I also managed to break this long skinny piece here that's got some ends on it. I don't know what it's for. It's some kind of a lever. Anyway, I managed to bust hell out of those, so I've written Rapido and asked for replacements. I also managed to take my horn or whistle off, pardon me, with the amount of rolling around I had to do with the thing. I broke the pin on it, so I asked for a new one of those too. Anyway, it can be done, but I'm just going to stop this little guy here. The big issue when you get into the thing, and they don't have any instructions, of course, which they should have before they sent any of these out. They should have written instructions. Since they provide spare drivers, you think they give you instructions on how to change them. If you look down the front of that wheel, there's a little pin sticking out there, and there's one on this side, and they're on all 3 wheels. And those are the wipers, and they're spring-loaded. They're like watch pins. Thank God they're captive, or they'd have gone flying, but they're in there. And the problem is if you manage to take the thing apart, there's springs under the middle drivers that you don't see until it's too late, and they push that up, and then you can't get anything back seated without pushing those pins in. So if you don't notice them right away, that's where most of the trial is. Then of course you need about 8 hands to work on it. So like I say, it's not something I'd recommend unless you really have done a lot of this, or you got a lot of patience and are pretty handy. But I got it done. I get some new parts. I did manage, I don't know if both springs were there, but I certainly, by the time I noticed that they were in there, I was missing one, so it went somewhere. So I asked for 2 of those too, so they match, because a Kadee coupler spring, while it fits, isn't strong enough, and it doesn't spring the driver properly. So this little guy, until I get new springs from Rapido, is going to be probably just not quite perfect over the track, but it's pretty good anyway. Anyways, there's the freight model, and other than some aggravation with the drivers, I really like these. I just think they ought to ask you, since they got about 15 flavors of these that you got to specify which ones you want. It wouldn't take much to just say, do you want rubber tires or bare drivers? And they could put them on at the factory, because I would guess that 90 people out of 100 that attempt this would end up with all sorts of problems. One other thing I didn't point out last night, these little hatches actually open, which is kind of cute. I noticed by accident that they open because I rubbed one, but that's kind of cool. And of course, when you turn the light on there, you can see it. There's another difference between the two. The passenger, the bell's back in the middle, and on this guy, it's up near the front. Anyway, I'll shut up here. I've been talking too much, but mostly happy with these. Some of the parts are a bit flimsy, but I guess that's what happens when you want absolute scale. Good night.